It's RantDay today, or Monday, depends on how you see it. Anyway, this day is a day that is the day where the resting days end for a lot of people, and it's back to the weekdays of a harsh reality. And what better way to start the day is there than with a passionate rant day to get that extra little RantDay spirit that you need to pop back into the days of reality. This show is highly opinion-based and made in order to talk about and get folks on things that I believe are heading in the wrong direction, and or just simply needs a push in the right direction. I will base my opinions on things I've heard, read, seen throughout my life as a gamer. If a fact is wrong, I apologize in advance. Today's subject: consoles versus computers. I've been asked by a couple of you guys to make a rant about consoles versus PC. And at first I was a little bit skeptical, to be honest, mainly because I think this topic is so controversial for some people, and ranting about a topic that is so dear could enrage a lot of people, and it's something I rarely do. But then I felt like, oh, what the hell. Let's remove the protective gear, jump into the deepest parts of the ocean. Hashtag YOLO, right? Right? But please keep in mind what I always say in the beginning of these RantDay episodes, and keep in mind that this comparison is with gaming in mind first and foremost. My first ever gaming experience was with a console. I had tons of games for the NES, SNES and the Sega Mega Drive system, and me and my friends filled our early years with tons of game console playtime. For me, the option to balance the fun between playing outdoors and indoors with games really was a never-ending story of fun. And I think a lot why I loved my childhood is thanks to good games filling the time that otherwise probably would have been boring and really uneventful. Consoles that came out of the SNES and the Sega Mega Drive I never got myself, so I had to go over to my friends' houses instead. Which was fun because a lot of my friends had different consoles, which made me experience a lot of the old school systems. And boy, did we have fun with the N64, the PlayStation, and after that the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 and so on. I guess I was lucky to have such a diversity of friends with different consoles so I could try them all. Sounds like I used them only for the stuff, but they were equally into it and as excited about it all as I was. But at my home, something else had taken the place of the consoles that took up so much time before. I had gotten my first PC. It was not a good one. Not even back then. I think the CPU was at 150 MHz and the GPU was at 64 MB video memory, and I think there was like 64 MB RAM as well. If this tells you nothing, then just look up the specs for today's computers and compare them, and I think you can grasp the idea how far we have come with today's computers, and also how slow computers were back then. But even though my computer was not as powerful as I might have wanted it to be, at least I had one. And that was the start of something really special for me. What I started to learn when I got my first PC was that suddenly I had so many options to customize and utilize virtual things in so many different ways and so many games all in one place and in one platform. Even old console games that I could play with emulators. Just one new unit instead of having tons of different consoles. One thing where I could play all my good old NES and SNES games and a lot of other good old console games and PC games on. So personally I started to drift towards the direction that PC gaming was going instead of console gaming. Alright. So with all that in mind, let's talk about today's topic. First, let's talk about the feeling of the different platforms, because I think that's really important. Because a feeling of what you think about something is the first thing you get. I'm going to try to weigh in all facts and hardware costs and so on later in this video, but I really think the feeling you get from the different platforms is the main reason why you fall in love with one over the other. And since money can't buy you love, I guess that sort of applies here as well. Or maybe not. since you have to buy these platforms if you want to have one, but let's just use that for the comparison for now. The expression is not totally wrong, at least. Alright? I gotta say that sitting in front of a TV with a console playing a game with a friend is somewhat more intimate and special than doing it over the internet. I know a lot of consoles have the options nowadays to play together over the net as well, but I think overall the majority of the people who play games together while sitting next to each other is dominated by people using consoles. Playing together while actually sitting in the same room and using a PC instead is a much more advanced thing to accomplish, and I gotta say it does not have that same feeling. You could argue that you could have a local area network with your friends and their PCs, but then they are all focused on their screens and not the same as you are, like you do with a console. And the feeling of playing something together on a console with some friends that sees exactly what you do is something really special. At least it can be. Another thing that consoles excel at is user accessibility. What the consoles offers is what you get. And usually that is very easy to understand. Even though the options of how to get your games and how to customize your console is expanding and getting more and more advanced, the basics of a console are just that. Very basic. And that opens up a huge market for people who do not want to tackle and find their way through the jungle that is the PC platform. It's overall a more casual gaming experience that I think speaks to a lot of people, as well as that initial feeling of whether you will like this or not. For veteran players and new players alike, I actually think consoles overall speaks more to the majority of the people that actually play games more than what computers do. And that is also one of its greatest strengths and why consoles are still so popular. You could always use the argument that consoles have great exclusive game titles that never make it to the PC. But in the comparison of the two, I think exclusive game titles and franchises are irrelevant. I'm not comparing games in this video, I'm comparing platforms. Just keep that in mind. Now, being a guy who uses computers daily and have done so for the last 16 years, I would pick a PC over a console any day of the week. I know how to customize my computer into an experience that would simulate what any console could offer me. So why would I choose a platform that offers me less than what I could get from a computer if I just use my computer to make a similar or even better and more powerful experience? I would not. But there is one major thing we need to consider here. I'm not a casual computer user. I have years of experience now to make this advanced platform that is the computer into what I want it to be. Learning how to use a computer fully can make you mold that experience into exactly what you want it to be. A computer offers a freedom that consoles do not have. So that's what we need to take in mind. Consoles offers a easy to understand platform that is more accessible to the majority of the people. And for more advanced users who want to have more freedom and mold their experience a bit, computers is the thing. So in terms of the feeling of the different platforms, who wins? For me, it's computers. And for someone else, it's consoles. But since consoles speak to a wider audience in terms of accessibility, I actually guess that I have to say the winner here is consoles, if I'm gonna be a little bit professional and cast my own feelings aside for now and look at the bigger picture. So far in the battle between consoles and computers, it's 1-0. So with the feelings done, let's go to another topic that is really important to people. Money. Which platform is actually the most affordable? Which platform will save you the most money in the long run? When and why should you consider buying a console over a computer for gaming and vice versa? At Best Buy right now, you can buy a PlayStation 4 for $399.99, so let's say $400. If I ever would recommend anyone to buy a gaming PC that will give you as good experience as possible, I would recommend a system that costs around $1,000 or above. That's not to say you can't get a decent gaming computer if you went cheaper, but going as cheap as $400 will not give you as much as a console with the same price tag gives you if you want to use that PC for gaming. So for the initial purchase cost, we have a clear winner. But if we want to make this fair, we need to consider other things. The cost of a gaming console or a gaming PC do not only stop with the unit itself. For a console, you would need a TV or at least some sort of screen. Same goes for a PC. But for a PC, you normally use a computer specialized screen, which is a little bit cheaper and costs around $200 to $300 or even less. How much money you want to spend on a TV is totally up to you, but since you probably want to use it for a while, and for other things than just gaming, we would talk about a $500 plus investment, and that's still keeping it really cheap for a TV. I think a lot of people spend even more money on their televisions nowadays. A keyboard and a mouse for a computer is a minimal investment. Let's say that will end up around $100, and that's actually pretty expensive. You could go way cheaper, but let's just say $100 for the simpleness of the things here. Extra controls for a console would probably end up with you paying around $100 plus as well. Somewhere around that. So where are we right now? Around $1,000 for a gaming console and around $1,300 to $1,400 for a gaming PC. Extra cables and gadgets and so on excluded. And take in consideration that I'm talking about a pretty cheap TV included in the console price tag and a pretty good and expensive PC included in the PC price tag. But right now it looks more affordable with a console. Does it not? But hey, we're talking about gaming right now, are we not? Yes, we are. So then we need to take games into consideration as well. And here is what I love with having a gaming PC. Almost everything is digitally based and being purchased online. I don't even have a DVD or CD reader in my computer anymore, and I never buy games from stores. And even though consoles are starting to pick up on this concept as well, there is still much more games being bought from stores for consoles than for computers. Much more. And here is where things turn around for the PC. If you just know where to look, you can get pretty new to brand new games for around 20 to 90% off at any given time with sites like G2A.com and more, where people buy games at different worldwide sales and resell them for that cheap price tag that they paid for the product. And it's all resold digital copies. So no worries about the disc being damaged or the CD key not being usable. You could argue that stores also have sales from time to time and so on, but it's not nearly as easy as it is to get a game cheap for a console as it is for a PC. And here it suddenly becomes a huge advantage for the PC or the computer in the long run. So let's be nice and fair and call this one a tie. So that's 1 point for each platform, adding it up to 2 points for the consoles and 1 point for computers. And now we come to the part where we need to consider everything else about the two platforms. What does a console versus a PC actually offer? I think it's pretty obvious. Even though consoles are becoming more and more of a general media entertainment unit than pure gaming units, the PC offers so much more freedom and customization, both with hardware and software, so that consoles can't even put up a fight. So that's 2 for consoles and 2 for computers. You might use the argument that consoles can be used for a longer period of time, but that's not really true. If you actually buy a really powerful PC, which I took in consideration with my calculations for the purchase costs, then you will be able to use that computer for a really long time. As long as you could use a console, or even longer. And you could use other arguments about different platform-specific features here and there to actually make the consoles or computers get extra points to be able to win this argument. But does it really matter? No. The real difference for me about consoles versus computers is that consoles are more for people who want that basic experience with an easy and understandable interface. And a PC is more aimed for people who want to do more than just to have a media entertainment system. But even though we have come to a tie, for me, computers is the obvious winner in this battle. But for you, it might be consoles. And that's the beauty of it. Even though they are so close, they are really far apart as well. Keep that in mind when you try to argue for the PC master race or whatever, or the console master race. Never heard that expression before though, but someone surely uses it. Maybe. I don't know. And per usual, I could probably sit here and talk about this subject forever. I'm a good talker, or at least I like to talk. I like to hear myself talk. But let's not do that, alright? Let's have some fun in the comment section below instead. So, is there anything you think I missed in this video that I really should have talked about? Do you have an argument for consoles that trumps all that computers could offer? Or do you simply just want to let your opinion out on this matter and talk some more? You're more than welcome to leave a suggestion as well about what I should rant about next. I always welcome extra help. Leave a like and a share. Do not be a square. And until next time.